This is the Amp Hour Podcast, released November 5th, 2024. Episode 682. Your mind is the tool.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Contextual Electronics.
What's up, nerd?
Oh, hey, man. I have many problems I've been fixing. But,
Many problems.
you know, just
Can we go
life
through a
problems.
list? Are we just going to go through a whole list
I
here?
had a PCB
We can
that had
solve your problems for you, Chris.
You cannot, actually. Well, I've
okay.
solved one. We didn't talk about this before the show. I had a board come back to me with a short that I didn't put into it. Not going to talk about the manufacturer, not naming and shaming, because it was rectified. But
As in
yeah,
a
that's
short
a damn-
between two traces that are close together. Is that the thing?
No.
So it's an etching? No?
no.
So it's not an etching thing? Or
It
it's
was
not
a
a defect on the PCB?
Board files were being modified by the manufacturer to add rails and stuff like that. And a VIA lost data, and it just got put on the wrong layer. I don't know what. I don't know.
Wow, just a glitch in the matrix. Some sort of
I have
cosmic
no idea how
ray
this
thing
would happen.
came through. It must be a cosmic
Yeah.
ray came through and whoop,
Yeah,
your
I
VIA
don't think
moved.
that's what it was. But here's the thing. Maybe you could tell me. I don't know this. I put it into a bunch of different like Gerber analyzer tools. So all I had to work off of was my files,
Yeah.
which were, of course, perfect,
pristine,
Of course.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never made any mistakes. I definitely didn't put a bunch of the wrong components on there,
Nah,
which was a
never.
red herring for all
Yep.
the troubleshooting. But then I asked for the Gerbers back because I knew they'd been modified. That's fine. They were sending out to manufacturing.
You need
for,
one of
like,
the don't touch my Gerber t-shirts.
Yeah. And so I looked at them and I had to do it manually because I just, there's like Fab 3000, Fab 5000. There's a bunch of like higher end tools that do Gerber analysis.
Oh yeah.
But the thing is, they don't have net name knowledge, right? So they
No,
just test.
exactly. You've got
Is this
yeah.
too close to that? And it's
That,
very, very
yep.
useful, but it's really for the protection of the board maker and really the etch
Exactly.
process. That's
Yep.
the real thing that they're testing. And it's like, okay, fine. But when it's two nets that get shorted together, not of my own making, the nets kind of all die at the Gerber stage, right? It's like a
Right.
downsampling of information. And honestly, Dave, I asked myself something I never thought I'd ask, which is there an AI tool that would fix this for me? And the answer, of course, is no.
No.
Honestly, what it was is like I use the AI tool called my brain, the AAI, the artificial intelligence, and literally I was just clicking between layers, clicking, on off. I set them at like different like opposite colors, so like blue on one layer, yellow on another, red on another, so that you had like the maximum amount of contrast, like
Right.
different parts of the color wheel, because I'm blessed with all the colors in my eyes, and it took about 3 hours of just the worst Where's Waldo session ever.
How did
Yeah.
you find this? Did the boards come back and two nets were shorted? Is that the
Exactly.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
So it started so that the thing that is basically, it was like a power rail being
Yep.
generated through a switching supply, like a buck
Yeah.
converter. And it had protection on board. And the protection was firing, but there was no indicator of it. It was like a silent failure where it was just like,
right?
there was no rail there. I was like, okay, well,
Right.
something's wrong.
And something's wrong with your switch mode. Yep, and you investigate. Right.
And then this board was at the stage where I'm at the neurotic stage, which actually it was not neurotic enough, where every different net that I was connecting together has a 0 ohm in line.
Yeah.
And then, so then I started removing those. And then I finally got to the point where I had a net that was both on the top copper and on the inner copper, on the power plane. And so then those two groups were, I was doing continuity testing to the ground layer and just like 0.0 ohm
Yeah,
sort of
right.
thing, like just really, really low impedance. And then,
So
This
did
is
you
a
actually
multi-day affair.
trace? Did you trace down with the ohms where the actual short was?
I couldn't even. So here's the real jam.
Yep.
I could not get it to do anything. So I ended up dumping 10 amps into the board. I bought a thermal camera. Because I couldn't find my old one. Dumped 10 amps into the board at 3.3 volts.
I'm
3.3 volt
laughing because I've been there and done that.
Oh, totally. And like this thing didn't light up at all. Like just not a single. And I was like, at this point, there's no other real option at that point. You know, like even a 0 ohm resistor is going to light up like a Christmas light, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's just going to have some amount of like basic resistance there, unless I had so many 0 ohms in parallel that I would just like. But even then, you'd see some current. You know, you just this is just like flat affect all the way through. So I knew it had to be buried, and that's when I started looking at Gerbers and really just desperation.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. This is where a 6.5 digit meter comes in. 5.5, 6.5 digit meter. You can trace down shorts like this. The ohms just get lower.
Should have called you a week ago. I have a 6.5
have done
meter.
a video on
I have
this.
a 6.5 digit.
I've done a
one.
video on this. So
Should have done that. I didn't think about that. That's not a bad idea.
That is the use of because you
I used
don't
to work
care
on a
about the
microometer
absolute.
too. I mean, at Keithley,
right.
like they had a microometer, and like that is basically what it is. Like you would usually higher current, right?
Yep.
And they do that for like rivets and I don't know. Remember
Cool. Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah. Yes, that is one of the uses of a high count meter is so that you can get fine enough resolution so that you can actually, trace around the board and narrow down the short. It's very helpful.
Yeah.
So,
that's a good one.
But you need really sharp probes that are repeatable each time, etc. You've got to get through the oxide coating, blah, blah, blah.
I mean, that's the thing. I'm not calibrated either. I guess it wouldn't matter too much, but I guess it's just consistency over time, right?
Exactly. You're just looking, does the value go up or down? So
it's
hot
like a heat map or a gradient.
So, and it works well. So
nothing felt like it was going to work well in this case, because it was on the inner layer too. So that's the thing. Like, the majority of the current was flowing, I think, on the inner layer.
Oh, damn.
It was just there was a net tie from the top layer.
And then the thermal insulation of the PCB wasn't showing it up on a thermal camera.
That's right.
Is that right?
Yeah. And I mean, it's not like I didn't buy I bought a $200 smart foam attach. I used to have the Seek thermal, which I was surprised.
Seek one, yep.
I was surprised they still make those. They still were on Amazon, I guess is probably a better way to say that.
Fluke have a new one, I think. They've just released like a shoe phone, one that plugs into your shoe phone.
Yeah, I got one. I got some Chinese brand one.
Yep.
For $200. Not bad. Not bad. I mean, here's the thing. Once I drilled out the via, I found a lot of current.
Oh boy,
it was a heartbreaker though. Yeah,
right.
That was a stinker.
When I was a boy, back in my day, it wasn't Gerber issues like that. It was PCB manufacturing issues.
Totally.
Over etching, you get a bit of contamination on your board or on the film, which they use to expose the boards, and and you'd get shorts between two traces, or when you get a roll soldered board. Have you ever had a roll soldered board where they put the tin plate, right? The tin plate gets rolled onto the copper and then they put the solder mask over that, right? These days it's solder mask over bare copper, right? SMOVC.
Yeah.
But no, when I was a boy, it was a solder mask over rolled solder. And that's when, have you ever seen those green solder masks that peel? They like peel off and they go all wrinkly and all sorts of stuff. Or they actually look wrinkly. Well, if you look in any 1970s, 1980s boards or something, you'll probably find that. Okay. So it was solder mask over solder-coated boards. And then when you roll, so a big roller goes over the board and coats all of the tracks. But it was very common to get a little solder dag between two fine traces that were next to each other. And, tracing those things down was a pain. Or you get, as I said, on a film, you'd get an etching problem. You get a bit of dust comes on the film sheet, settles on the film sheet, and that actually gets exposed on the board, and you get a little hairline short between your two tracks, So
I feel like at 10 amps, you'd start to really clear those shorts. Don't you think?
Yes. You can actually blow them out. Yeah,
fuses.
Yes, that is a common technique. You can actually blow it. And
Yeah.
then you're left with a little carbonized trace, which
Yeah.
may come a guts 6 months later.
Yeah,
But,
right.
It'll certainly fix the problem then and there.
Well, so here's the other question. So, you always see like on PCB manufacturer sites that like, oh, we do like 100% e-test, stuff like that.
Yep.
But
And that's
Actually,
a 100% e-test is not 100%. They can't test every possible combination. All they test is the continuity between the traces and maybe some isolation between other traces. But generally,
Yeah, that's what I was
they can't
wondering.
test everything. It's just
right,
not.
and like, yeah, they wouldn't test like, they wouldn't have like a branching tree because a complex board would have like near
millions.
effectively infinite, not
Yeah.
effectively, but like
Yeah,
really, really
huge.
expensive
Yeah, yeah.
time-wise.
Time-wise,
And so,
yes.
but what I was wondering, like, again, they don't have knowledge even of, like, they know it's a ground plane,
What
right?
they need is AI, Chris. We can start up an AI
there we
company
go.
that does
We just
e-testing.
raised $50 million
$50
just in this
million.
last 30 seconds.
We
Yeah.
can do it. Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Yeah.
Straight to
Well,
start
here's the
engine
thing, though, like,
for us.
so like they never know. I mean, like they know, but they don't need to know, and they don't really
Right.
care that like the layer 3 or layer 2 was the ground plane, right?
Right.
And it's like, would that change anything? Would they then do flying probe between a topside trace and ground? Like that's what I'm going to do as a user, as the
You
designer.
would probably have to tell them to do that. I would. I don't think it's part. It might not be part of the automated
Yeah.
process, but every manufacturer has different rules for doing that.
Yeah.
And you can actually program it. Like in theory, you could go right one flying probe onto the ground plane, and then the
Yeah.
other flying probe onto every other trace that's not ground. And
Yeah.
then see and check for shorts. But then, like then you've got to do that.
Right.
Okay, you've got to do that for the positive plane. Okay, you've got to do that for
Right,
the
right,
5
exactly.
different power planes you've got.
Yeah,
You know, it's like, And then you're wasting half your time anyway because the traces may not go over some of those planes if you've got split planes, etc. And
Yeah, exactly.
like I'm telling you, AI can solve this. Yeah, right. But yeah, nah.
Yeah,
So e-test, it's something that they actually
E-tests.
they
more
chuck
like
it on.
A-tests.
There's a reason that they chuck it on for free these
Yeah,
days.
right.
Is
They're not
because
doing
it's
goodness
very
of their
minimal.
hearts.
It's basically checking for any breaks
Yeah,
between
it's quality
traces.
issues, right? They're
Yeah.
testing the
Breaks.
little
Yep.
shorts that you're talking about, right?
They aren't testing for
hairlines.
shorts. I think they're testing for hairline breaks.
Sorry.
only.
I just meant like the crossover traces, like under etch, over etch type problems, right? Yeah.
I think under etch won't show up because that'll be two traces shorted together. I don't think that'll show up.
Well, wouldn't you think an e-test would look at like geographic, like trace,
If they're
45
right next
is
to
next
each
to
other,
46.
but that's what we've been talking about. How many combinations are there? How does it intelligently know that
proximity
these two
actually
are
does
next?
have limited scope, right? So if you
Yes,
imagine
it
it now,
does.
like you're looking through like
Yeah.
a lens at just different parts of the board, you could say, oh, well, trace 45 is next to 46. I'll test if they're shorted. Nope,
Yeah,
move on.
Yeah, but
right?
what if
And you
they're
could see that
only?
whole trace.
But what if they only come near each other for one little tiny point over the entire board? Then do you bother?
Then you- No, then you do it
or
once,
do
though,
you
that's what I'm
only do
saying.
it on buses, right? But
Okay, well,
okay.
I guess the real thing we should do is we should figure out what e-test is.
Oh yes, we probably should these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
What is
we'll get there. Yeah.
does e-test on a PCB?
See, now
I'm
he's
asking
talking to
Google,
AI.
which is dumb.
Yeah,
no, I
there
should
it
actually
is.
torch
Yeah,
to AI on PCB.
Dave uses
search
Gemini.
for
Tell
shorts.
everybody. Tell everybody. Dave uses Gemini. Ew.
Has electrical probes used to check for shorts, open, resistance, capacitance, and other stuff. How much they
Here's the
do
thing, like,
do
all
that,
this
and
stuff
to what
is-
extent? I don't think so. Basically, if you're buying your $2 freaking board, right, which costs practically nothing with free e-test, I
Free
don't think they're
e-test.
doing much, dude.
I agree. No, we have not diverged on that point in the slightest. So.
Yep.
This was not a cheap board, by the way.
Right. Okay.
So,
right. How
yeah.
many actual layers? How many layers? What?
It's a 4-layer board, nothing fancy.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Okay.
This is the thing, though. It was not a manufacturing issue. This was a design issue of not my own making as the designer. That's the tricky bit. So I guess I should get one of those "Don't touch my Gerber" shirt. I've
Yeah,
never
yeah.
seen that. Is that one of yours?
Yes. I did a "Don't Touch My Gerber's" T-shirt way back.
Got it.
But I haven't put it on various other stores yet. It's only on my original Teespring store, I think. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, So let's talk about that then, right? So, in this case, the manufacturer was doing rails and they were doing some controlled impedance stuff because of just not publishing. They're like, well, we don't really publish some of our specs, so we'll do it ourselves. Okay, fine. And I had very low requirements on controlled impedance, like simple stuff.
Okay.
And so no big deal. But then, in this case, I could have been more particular about rails and all that other stuff. And then so then when you're doing rails on a design like that, are you going back and forth with the manufacturer and saying what do you need for the actual multi-board design with rails and stuff like that? Or are you just pushing it through based on standard panel sizes and stuff like that?
Oh, I'm basically, I would always do my own panels. So
do your own panels, but then how are you speccing that in for? So a manufacturer wants to have a certain width of the panels, right? So they're doing a 900 millimeter, rails on their pick and place machine and stuff like that. So then how are you getting that initial info from them to know that you should be putting certain specs into your rails? That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay, right. It's been a long time since I've done full high end production like that. But basically, there are industry standards. There were Australian standards for this back in the day. I don't think. Well, we don't have many bareboard manufacturers left here in Australia. I think there's only 2.
Sure.
But
yeah. But even assemblers, there are more assemblers there, right? So
assemblers, yes. Oh, yeah, no, there's heaps of assembly houses, but they'll pretty much do anything you want. They can handle anything. It doesn't matter what kind of as long as the board wasn't physically too big for the actual machine run that they have, they can handle anything. Yeah. Because everything's got to be customized, programmed in it. So it didn't matter if you used circles for your fiducials on the outside of your panel strips. It didn't matter if you used triangles or squares or whether or not you actually used copper or whether you used, et cetera. They can just handle everything. It's all manual programmed anyway. So... there is no standard.
But the thing I'm always getting at is somewhere in my cheapskate brain, I'm just I would love to just know, like you said, the standards are good, right? I don't ever see those in my own work, but that's fine. And so it's and so then you kind of, some of the services that I've used and some of the different manufacturers I've used, none of them are here's an example panel. I could ask for it, but it's not like they're publishing on their site.
No.
That is really what I want. I just want an example that I can copy, and then I just give me best practice so that I'm going to have the cheapest version. I want to have the cheapest version of all these things. Just show me the standard so that I can then say, that's not going to work for me. I'm going to pay more. You know what I mean? That's
you're basically not going to pay more. It's going to be the same because, as I said, it's a manual process.
If there's people in the loop, there's always dollars. It's going to be more.
Yes, but people are always going to be in the loop. They've got to program the machine initially, and it doesn't matter if you've used a standard. Everyone's going to be used a different size panel anyway for various requirements. There is no the machine is already programmed for this particular panel size. I am not aware of anyone in the industry who uses, apart from the same manufacturer as the same company who manufactures the same products, perhaps they might use a standard template between their different product boards. But apart from that, from company to company, no, everyone uses a different panel size. Everyone uses a different fiducials on their panels. Everyone has different test strips. Everyone has different everything. Everything is totally.
I'm just looking for panel width. That's all I care about. Panel width,
maximum panel.
Give me a length.
Height.
Give me a width.
Yep.
I'll do metric.
Yep.
Don't worry about me. I'm a big boy.
Right. Oh boy. Yep. Yeah. No, sorry, dude. You're not going to save any dosh by asking for some standard panel size. They might give the illusion that you might be paying less, but it's in practice it's not going to happen because it's the same amount of work.
That sounds right.
Yeah. So sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah. Speaking of
sounds like we are experiencing some of the. Wait a second. We are experiencing
the Twilight
some of the
No?
most knowledgeable and experience in the industry.
I was going to follow on. I was going to segue into the PCB one that I just posted, but okay, we can come back to that. Okay,
Yeah, we'll
if
come
you
back
want
to
to
that.
go. Okay.
This is on our
We'll
subreddit.
take a break from PCB. Okay.
Yes, please
Yes.
do. Yeah.
All right. Here we
yes.
go. It comes from Pablo the Ghost Beater.
Yes.
Okay.
Great question. Terrible framing. He says, Dave is truly one of the most knowledgeable and experienced in the industry.
I've been around.
Dave's been
You know?
around. Here's the thing. People know I love Dave. He's great. Definitely knows some things. Most knowledgeable and experienced. I would like to point to our slate of past guests across the industry, and Dave is among the throngs of experienced people. Anyways, let's move past that. As I said, that much hot air, and you might desolder some parts. So Pablo's asking, why haven't you designed more products?
Well, I'll read his question verbatim, okay? Because I don't want to
Just skip that one part I already read, okay?
Okay. I've designed and sold several electronic projects in the past, and I'm ready to dive back in. Glutton for punishment, I know. Yes, indeed. Hardware is hard. That was my insertion there. Recently, I've been revisiting some of Dave's classic videos on PCB design for manufacturing, the ergonomics of selling, the ergonomics. I might have also done a video on the the economics of selling hardware, top tips for bringing products to market, do-it-yourself product design, and more. All excellent insights. One topic I'd love to explore is Dave is, given his expertise, why hasn't he pursued more product design ventures himself? If someone with Dave's know-how isn't doing it, what chance does the rest of us have? My guess is that it's a conscious decision on his part, but I'm genuinely curious about the reasons behind it. Excellent question.
Allow me to speak on Dave's behalf.
Go for it.
He doesn't want to. Well, we've talked about it many times. I think. It sucks. And also, finding a good marketplace for this sort of thing. The thing I wanted to get to is Dave's classic videos. Do you think they still hold up after many years, right? I think a lot of those videos were made at the beginning of kind of the maker movement type stuff.
Yes.
And
they still hold up. The economics one, I think still holds up.
I think some of the expectations have changed around the pricing of goods and the capabilities of the things that are contained within. So like to take the microsupply as an example, right? I feel like not the microsupply, sorry, the microcurrent, like that is at a different phase than when it started. It was like
Correct.
a capable, it is still a capable thing, but it's like there are many other products that have entered that marketplace.
Yes, they have. There's like, I've personally got like 4 others, I think, here that do a similar thing and more.
Right.
So,
and so like that's what I mean. Like some of it was, serving a certain part of the market and the pricing that was available at the time, but it doesn't discount the usefulness of that product. It's just that if you launch that today, would it have the same impact in marketplace? I'm not sure it would.
No, it's exactly. All things change.
Right. So.
Yeah. But that doesn't change. The question was the advice. Your question was, do you think the videos have changed? No. The relevance of the videos.
If the pricing was 4x bomb or something akin to that kind of thing, and the marketplace doesn't bear the
but that's always been the case. But that's always been the case. You have to play to the industry. If there's already an existing product in there and they can buy it on AliExpress for $10 and you need to sell it for $50, then you probably you might have, and it's popular. It's popular and the existing one's popular and well known. Well, obviously you're trying to push brown stuff up a hill with a pointy stick, right?
Right.
It's it's hard to break in.
Yeah, I just think, I guess you're right. Yeah, like product research and like finding a niche in the variety of electronic products that might be out there. That is probably a prerequisite for all things before even watching those videos, right? So
things haven't changed. Things like trust, things like brand recognition, name. Is your product the name in that particular niche?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Things like that. Those things haven't changed. Sure,
I guess the big name
economic.
in the room for me is just China and the availability of hardware and the and just how hardware was manufactured 15 years ago versus now, and just the availability of things too. Like, just there's a lot more people in China on AliExpress serving needs that are
there's a lot more like assembly houses. When I did those videos, there weren't those, all-in-one solutions. You can go to your JLCs or your, your whatever PCB ways or whatever, and they will practically do a turnkey for you with minimal risk. You've got practically minimal risk. And they'll do the complete, and they'll do the component sourcing for you. And it's like, well, do you, and then you get tempted into, depends on the complexity of your actual product, but then do you get tempted into using their tools and their parts and their BOM parts, for example? And then, then they can produce it even cheaper again if you do all that, right? Because they've already got those reels, lined up in their pick and place machines. They've already, so if you use their suggested parts, then, but it depends on the flavor of your product. Is it all generic parts and the magic's in the software? Or is it, something like my microcurrent, right? As simple as it is, though you can't substitute the parts in that, right? They're all precision, 0.05% resistors. They're all, you can't just substitute the op amps, right? It just doesn't work, right? There's only single source for these things. A single resistor on there was like $3. Right, and it's really the only one. There is no substitute. I mean,
I think, I agree. Especially in the test and measurement industry, I think like basically the moats as they are, right. The things that are keeping out competitors are, bespoke supply chains that maybe you only have access to, or testing methodologies that other people are unwilling or unable to do for, being able to calibrate to a certain standard, that sort of thing.
Right.
So that's a good example of that's like a value add on top of, if it's just a pile of parts, okay, but pile of parts plus cal plus, sourcing knowledge plus some magic sauce in the firmware and brand and like all those things. Yeah, those all kind of add up. Yes.
Right.
Agree.
Anyway, I will answer Pablo's actual question, which is why don't I do it anymore? Yes, it is a conscious decision on my part because I have a blog to run and I have a family and I have other things, going on. And I've got to maintain all these things and I don't have an infinite number of hours to do them all. And as I said, hardware is hard. As in number of, not just, hard to actually design the things, but the effort, the number of hours and the effort required to put into it is incredibly lengthy. And I don't necessarily have the time to do that sort of thing anymore. And given that, a good part of my product is selling products, or a good part of my income is selling products on my store. But when I look at it, I'm going, well, all the time and effort, all the non-recurring engineering is called NRE cost, right? Which is the time and effort you need to not only design it, but then build the test systems. Even something simple like my microcurrent. You've seen, I'm sure Pablo's seen all my design videos on designing the panels and the test fixtures and the test products and, all that sort of stuff to go along with it, right? It's not just the product. Although you can leave these things up to other people. But it depends how much you want to control of it.
Advantage then, right?
You lose competitive advantage, you lose control, etc. Right? Yeah. So, anyway, and again, it depends on your product. If it's just a simple microcontroller on a board and it's all your software is the only thing that is the secret sauce, then, well, you get them to turnkey, make that for $5 and you sell it for 50 or 100 because it requires your smart software. Right?
Yeah,
so that's much easier than doing some other product that requires extensive test jigs and bed of nails, test systems and programming, or, like all sorts of stuff, measurements and all that sort of thing. Anyway, aside from the complexity of the actual product itself and how to get it to market, it is just, it's just a ridiculous amount of time and effort, and I've got to weigh that up against whether or not it's worth it than just to take existing products, like, products from other manufacturers and rebrand them under my brand. It's far easier to do that, and I can still make a similar or better margin. So it's a business decision as well. It's like, well, if I didn't have the blog, Like if I stopped making YouTube videos and I stopped everything else, yes, I'd probably have the time and the inclination to design products from scratch.
But then you don't have the brand oomph, right? I mean, that's the thing.
Exactly.
That's the trade-off.
You lose the brand oomph.
I think that's one thing that kind of pops out to me is like the difficulty of doing that as a one-man show. Is Dave has made a conscious decision to stay as, which is I think.
Well, I was
a
a two-man show at one point.
Totally,
and
right?
we can actually get into that. I actually had a full-time employee who was designing products full-time, right? Yes. And so we can get into that. But the other reason is that so that was one reason. The other reason is that when I'm designing my own products, it's kind of like my baby. It's my thing, and I often tend to drift in different, I'm sort of halfway through the design and I go, oh, wouldn't this be good if I did it this way? And I went in this direction. And you probably saw that with my micro supply series. I had 3 or 4 different versions of the micro supply. That was just in the series that I was developing because, like it's still a hobby for me, right? Yeah. It's still...
Right. There was no monetary, like Dave's family wasn't going to not be able to
Exactly.
If you didn't finish the board that day.
Or there was no boss telling me, when I was working in the industry actually designing products, there was very little leeway. There was some, but there was much more rigid, okay, we've got this, and it's not just your idea, Dave. It's like the company wants this.
Yeah, there's a product spec.
And there's a product spec and there's a whole thing that you have to work to. So you just grind away.
And your job is based on listening to the person who's writing that product spec.
Exactly. And you've got to grind away and there's other people, checking you, regular meetings and going, where are you at on the Gantt chart of this design, right? And you can't
but you probably miss Gantt charts, right? I mean,
totally miss Gantt charts. Yeah.
You're just...
And so there was little reason to deviate. Whereas if it's your own product, if you're not rigorous enough, if you're not disciplined enough to follow...
I have some examples in this arena.
Exactly. I'm sure we all do. So that is reason number 2.
The recent ones that I could chuck in on right now.
So I end up with half a dozen projects half finished, and I'm sure everyone in our situation can say a similar story. Half a dozen products half finished because you lost interest in it, or you changed the direction of it, so you started again, or and by the time you get around to, so you never get around to finishing anything.
Yep.
So because your ass isn't on the line, basically. Whereas it is if you're working for the man, right? The man's kicking you up the butt every week at the design review meeting to finish the design and get it to market, right?
That's right.
So whereas you don't have that when you're a one-man band.
That's right.
So anything that does pop out the other end is purely a hobby project for me. So Yep. So that's probably more of the main. But if you combine those 2 major reasons actually together, then that's why, I don't design and build my own products. And if you take something, for the example of the micro supply, which I took seriously, right? So I hired David too, right? And a part of his job was to help finish the micro supply design and actually bring it to market. And you've seen the end and the almost end result, right? It's a really schmick looking product, right? Everything was custom design case, custom LCD, custom keypad.
You're also hearing some of the problems. Yes.
Custom heatsink, and I've done videos on all these things, right? And the end result is actually a really schmick product, but in the end, it was like, we got to a certain point, and then David actually left and he went on to greener pastures, which is fine. But then I had to make the decision, right, do I finish this and bring it to market, or do it, it's almost there. Like I've physically got it in my hand. It physically works, right? It looks really sexy, but do I bring that to market? And I just had a look at it and I went, we have to actually redesign the DC to DC. We have to redesign the custom transformer in it because we weren't meeting the efficiency targets. And I think I've got a sniff of other companies coming out with similar competing products soon. In fact, one of them halfway during the process of designing that, I can't remember the company, but they came out with a little, switch-in micro supply thing, but it wasn't isolated, but it was, it was like, so all these companies started,
totally.
right, right, it was 80% there, and it was like, okay, my one's cute, but it's isolated. But it's my one was fully isolated. That's a decision I made that would make it unique to others on the market. But then I decided, well, does that really matter to people? And then I was thinking, if I get rid of the isolation, then I can up the power and I can go for there's lots of flow-on things that make it better. And then you start doubting the design direction. And then I added up the price. Then I costed it out. I did the big bomb and the Excel spreadsheet and the whole, 9 yards, and it came out and I'm going, this is just my bomb cost. Oh, no one's going to buy it at this kind of price level. Sure, some people might. Yeah, I might be able to sell a few thousand, but is it, because of just the hype and the brand name, right? EV Blogify did a video with the Kickstarter and everything else. Yeah, I might get 1,000 or 2 people actually buy it, but, looking beyond that, it's like it's not really worth it. And having been involved in those several large Kickstarters before, it looks great when the money comes in, when it all rolls in at once, and then you realize that you have to actually build it and ship them and supply them and test them and then back them all for that all for that money. And if you don't judge that right, it's like, I made, what was my multimeter, my 121 GW multimeter Kickstarter? It was like 650,000 US or something. Was it US or was it Australian? I can't remember. It was quite a lot of money. It had like 2,500, 3,000 backers or something, right? It was a lot of money, but how much profit did I make in the end from that? I don't know. Yeah. You probably have to ask my accountant, but it's probably not much, right?
Yeah, so and especially hourly.
Hourly rate to work. It's just Sure, I'm still selling that product today, but still, it's like, it's hard. It's hard.
Totally. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. But if you want to do it, so my recommendation to Pablo is yes, definitely do it. It's not that it's not that you shouldn't do it, but you need the discipline to go into it. Discipline's so important. And
I have 2 things
I'm
on
just
that front.
Lazy. I'm just like, I'm lazy. I change my mind all the time. There's no one kicking me up the ass, Yeah. Well,
I tried to have Dave hire me as a product manager. He said no.
Right.
So here's the thing. So here's the positive spin on. So like all the things that Dave's saying right now, those are actually also kind of a moat, right? So and I'm using moat as in like a competitive advantage kind of term from the silly startup industry, but like that actually from the trend that I'm seeing. Kind of in the IoT industry and similar, it's like kind of the building of the hardware, that piece of it is kind of the hot potato. And it's like everybody's passing around like, oh, no, you're going to build the hardware. No, you're going to build the hardware. You're going to build it. And so like people that are good at it, that build that, they're not going to make like AI fundraising margins. You know what I mean? Like
right.
Like taking people's money kind of margins.
Yep.
But like they could build businesses off of it, and like they could build decent businesses for sure, right?
Yep.
There will be headaches, there will be issues. Like it's not without, but I think increasingly that knowledge, especially like for specialized products, has been kind of handed off, and just someone says, well, we'll just send it to Asia, just as kind of a generic thing. It's like, well, that is not enough, and you need to, even if you're quote unquote sending it to Asia, there's skilled engineers over there that are shepherding the product through production. You know what I mean? Like it's
right.
Anyway, so having that knowledge is a good thing to learn and to do and to have in your tool belt as a capability. So then I think it comes down to, so assuming you have all those skills, I think then it comes down to having the right product type and, wanting to follow through with it, whatever.
And as always, the one of the hard skills is knowing what the market is, knowing what the market wants, what the market will expect in terms of price and features.
Getting enough attention to like
and attention
have
as well.
People buy it, right?
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, totally. How do you stand out? How do you? But advice to Pablo is yes, definitely do it because it's actually easier and better these days. You have it's cheaper and better resources available to you these days. So definitely do it. It's just have the discipline to stay with it, like focused on the product, and treat it as a business. Treat it as a business. Don't treat it. Although treating it as a hobby makes it fun, but then you've got more temptation like I do. I mean, don't take my example because I've got unique circumstances that most other people don't in terms of running a blog and, doing other things, right? I've got unique sort of situations and I sell other products and I already have an existing brand, and market and stuff like that. So, don't.
In terms of motivation, I can give one piece of advice. You could live stream your entire design and then feel compelled to fix it. Oh, this is me, Dave. I'm saying I did this. And you could show everyone all the mistakes you did, which is something I did last week.
Just turn comments off. Just kind of, Well,
no, you said
one
not
of
to
the
do
worst
that.
things. Sorry.
You said not to do that.
I
wanted to talk about the mistake that I made, though. Can we talk about the mistake I made at a PCB?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'd been working on this design. I have a plug-in board. I think I told you about, mentioned on the show before. Got the board back, built it up. Nothing. Another LED that refuses to light up. Another one added to the pile. Turns out that I rotated the connectors, despite them being perfectly lined up. They were rotated exactly 180 degrees. So add that to the pile of issues that I've brought upon myself in the past. And again, another thought that I had there is no AI tool that would have fixed this for me because in this case it was garbage in, garbage out, my own garbage making, right?
Yep.
And so every time someone comes up to me and says, "Hey, Chris, try out this new AI tool," all I can think of is like, is it going to save me from myself? I don't think there are tools that can save me from myself in this manner.
Okay.
Do you know of any tools?
No, there are no tools.
Yeah.
Your mind is the tool.
Yeah, there it is. Mm-hmm. I am a tool.
I am a tool. Can that be the episode of the name of this episode?
Yeah, sure.
Or mind. Your mind is the tool.
Put my photo with that one, but sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm currently working on a product. Well, at least it's in the back of my mind. I always sort of fiddle with it occasionally. And I've actually got the competition sitting on the desk right in front of me. I'm physically holding it now. I won't tell you what it is. I think I might have shown it to Chris a long time ago. But that's how long I've been working on it. But anyway, it's a little bench, a little thing that sits on your bench. I've got it here. And pretty much this is the only one on the market, but I want to do my own version of it. And I'm thinking, I keep tossing up between this. Well, in order to protect sort of, in quote marks, protect the design, add that moat, as you call it, between people, copying it or, just making a cheap rip-off version. Although this won't stop them, it just sort of makes it a bit easier, whether or not I go for a custom LCD, a fully custom LCD in it, or do I use an off-the-shelf, dot matrix thing and then have custom fonts, like programmed fonts and all that sort of stuff. Well, on one hand, the custom LCD is lower power. It's potentially lower price per unit once you've got the NRE out of the way, but it's less flexible. So like in terms of actually the display, you can't change it if you want to, if somebody has a better idea and wants to, because it would have open sourced the software or whatever, and, people could change the fonts and they can do whatever, and change this actual, the look and feel and the functionality of the product. If you've got a dot matrix, you can do that. But then that means just, anyone can just take it and make it kind of thing. And I would open source hardware it. So there's nothing stopping somebody else just making a cheap clone of it and undercutting me, so to speak. So, do I try and protect that design by having a custom LCD and making that hurdle higher for somebody to make a competing product or not? I don't know. So, yeah. There's all those decisions you got to factor in.
I don't wait around for someone to tell me that a part's out of stock. I single source it by design.
Single source by design, yes. But you can always go to a different LCD manufacturer, So, or the dot matrix thing. Like, there's so many like pin compatible ones and stuff like that. So you just choose one of the pin compatible ones, I guess.
I'm trying to remember what you showed me. I'm sure I have no doubt you did show me, but I can't for the life of me remember it. But I don't know. In that specific example, like that's probably not the thing that would sink or float the device, the product.
No, it wouldn't. But it's something that's I'm thinking about, right? So
Sure. Okay.
I'll send you a link right now.
Okay.
If it ever.
All right. Cool. I'll look at it later. Yeah.
Here it is. Incoming. Shh. Boom. There you go. There you go. I think it's really cool. And there's only one product on the market like it, and it's quite expensive, and I would like to make my own. I thought it'd just be very cool, add some extra functionality perhaps. And yeah. Yep. So
Oh, I do remember this because we talked about this with the case. The case specifically was the thing that you.
Yeah. I was going to do was like a bare board thing, so you could you could sell it as like a kit, or you could just like manufacture it yourself as like a bare board kind of thing, and it could sit on your desktop as a bare board thing, and it would still work. It'd still, it just looks like a bare board solution. Or you could.
Dave's not going to say what this is, but I think that when and if he ever releases something like this, they'd be like, well, "What? This is not what I expected it to be a release." Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's a very niche product. It's very niche.
Yeah,
it's very niche. Yeah. But I like it. It's just a really cool thing that I think every lab should have one.
Got it.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
yes.
Yep. Because you might see it. I don't know if you've checked, Chris, but there are things there are connections on the back that you can actually hook up external trigger inputs to it. So yeah. I just
we shouldn't
think
keep dancing around what it is.
Gadget.
I mean,
No. Anyway, do you go custom LCD? Do you go generic kind of thing? What's the look and feel? Do you design it into a fully custom case? Do you use an off-the-shelf case? I've done videos probably saying this in the past, that often a lot of good projects start around a case. You see a case and you go, ooh, I could make that into a product. That's the perfect form factor. That case is brilliant. So you sort of work around the case and you've got an idea for a product and you go, this is the perfect case for it.
No, what you do these days, Dave, is you 3D print something, and then when you're finally going to production, the production house says, "We can't build this, you dummy.
We can't build this, you idiot."
This is a single thickness sidewall. What are you doing? This is going to cost you
the mold is going to be hundreds of dollars for this mold.
So that's how I do it. Thank you very much.
Oh God!
All right, did we answer Pablo's question though?
I think we did.
Think so.
There were two reasons why I don't have a slew of my own products, and why.
Didn't ask me this. I must not be the most knowledgeable or experienced in the industry, I guess. Yeah. Despite having said that, I designed more boards in the last week than Dave has in the last
years. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I know. But
what's your KeyCAD doing these days, Dave? We should get back onto KeyCAD for you.
Nothing. No.
Oh, rip it. Grip it and rip it, man. Come on.
There's been two major releases, I think, since I last touched it. And I haven't even laid out, I've never even laid out a board in anger on it.
8 is great. 8 is great.
Ada?
Yeah. 8. I said 8.
Oh, 8.
KeyCAD 8. KeyCAD 8 is great.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Whatever. Mm-hmm. But the other thing was just to finish that off is that even when I decided to take it seriously and I hired someone, even though I didn't hire them specifically for that, but I got them to specifically work on it full time, and they worked a long time on it, and I was like driving the project, it still didn't work out. So just for various reasons, I
have thoughts about that too.
Yeah? What?
You hired yourself, Dave. That's the real problem there. You know that.
Oh, yes, I know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hired him because I thought he was cool and I liked him.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's another
Which is
Dave.
true. Man, no,
literally another Dave.
He did an excellent job. If you go take a look at my micro supply,
but you just said
it's freaking awesome.
I gild the lily on everything, and I do this, and I do this, and I do this, and that's what David did too. And that was one of the problems.
Well, that's because I let him, right? Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, it's exactly. Yeah. I suck at management.
I guess the buck does stop with you.
Yeah, the buck totally stops at me. I should have managed the thing better, and I just suck at management. So
that's okay.
That's why I've never been a manager.
Very knowledgeable and experienced as an engineer in the industry.
That's why I've been stuck in the basement.
In the industry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can we
Okay.
have maybe the image for this show can be me sitting on a couch in the basement at my former job.
Like Milton, like when he gets
Like
put
Milton,
in the basement.
yes, Milton gets literally put in the basement. I was literally put in the basement.
Oh, I've seen that photo. Yeah.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I think we've actually used that as an image on the show before.
Oh, we have? Okay, right.
682 episodes,
Right,
Dave. I'm pretty sure we have,
I'm
actually.
sure,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
Probably. All right, no worries.
All right. So you wanted to talk about PCBs. Get back to PCBs.
Oh yeah, PCBs. Yeah, I put this on just before the
that's
show.
a good one. Yeah.
Have you seen it? It's a Twittery post.
I'm looking at it now. Yeah.
Even though you think Twitter's
I don't
an evil
understand.
place.
Yeah. Yes. I don't understand the post though. It says 2 layers is all you ever need. 2 layers is all you ever need.
Right. Anyway, okay. Rue Mo, M-O-H-R is his name.
More.
On More.
More.
Rue
More, yeah.
More. Okay. Rue More on Twitter, which I think I might have done a video on one of his questions before, actually. Kind of rings a bell. Anyway, yeah, so he just made this post with a screenshot of a PCB he's working on. It's a typical rat's nest thing, it's got various parts on it. It's got a big dip connector.
KeyCAD 8 has curved rat's nest now. I just found that out the other day.
Oh, really? Curved rat's
Very
nest?
interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting. It's like, oh, this is not what I expected. Sorry, go ahead. Keep going. Keep going.
Anyway, and then, and as you said, all his text is 2 layers is all you need. 2 layers is all you need. 2 layers. He's trying to remind himself that basic's I think he's
see.
implying
Got it. He's
that,
trying
that
to. It's a mantra. It's a mantra.
he is kind of like quarter routed the board, and he's gone. I think he's just throwing up his arms in frustration, going, "Well, I can't do this on 2 layers. This is, like it's going to be a pain, and it's going to be really hard." I don't think so.
It does look pretty hard, to be honest.
Yeah,
but it always looks hard at the beginning of the rat's nest phase.
It always
I feel
looks, like he's laid out maybe 1/5 of the traces or something.
Yeah, that sounds right.
The old adage is that layout is 90% placement.
Agree.
Yes, absolutely. So I can immediately see although it'd be handy if I can physically manipulate the parts and move them around so I can see the rat's nest changing. So it's hard to do on a single image.
Yeah,
it's harder.
That AI, have your eyes be like, oh, that looks like the best orientation, right?
No, I just
Is that what you're talking
physically
about? Like
move
as you
it.
rotate it, you rotate it. It's like the fewest number of lines that are crossed over.
Yes, exactly. The fewest number of lines that are crossed over and blah, 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 blah. Group things together into functional modules, etc. I can already see I would rotate the big dip part there. I would rotate that 90 degrees perhaps, or I'd at least try it.
Yeah.
I'd at least try it. So he's got like some rats going the full length of the board, which might be unavoidable, but you do those last, and then you might auto route those last few, or who cares who cares if you use 20 vias to get that last signal right across the board, right? As long as it's there's no controlled impedance traces on
I
this.
should start making a KeyCAD sound to things that I've been learning lately. If you hit F, it finishes the trace. That's a new thing that I learned, a new hotkey in KeyCAD 8.
Right.
Maybe not even 8. I don't even know. I don't know when these things came in here.
Right.
That's like a thing that's been in Altium forever, I'm sure. If you hit F, it finishes the trace for you. It does like an auto route.
Right. Yes, I think that's called smart routing or smart complete or something in Altium. I can't remember
it's in
the name.
KeyCAD now.
Right. Okay. Yes.
That's right. 25 years later, we got it too.
Right. So you start. So you start at the pad that has the net on it, and you start routing it, and then you just press F, and it finds the finished. Yep. Yeah. So that is
I still
interactive
hate it.
auto routing. That is interactive auto routing, basically.
Yeah.
Which is fine if you've got one or two traces left. Like you wouldn't do that at the start of your board design.
No.
That's just dumb.
I move everything.
Right.
I'm picky.
Yep. And don't be afraid to rip up half of your board. Totally rip the thing up if you think, if I move this part over here, it's going to make it all better for me, which you should have figured out before you started the routing, actually, to begin with, which, as we said, routing is 90% placement. But, I can already see that. But even if we left it as is, I think if he gave me this board, I could do this on 2 layers.
You should ask for it.
Yeah.
I bet you can get it for him.
Yeah, I should. Yeah, but no, I can see that there's layout. Yeah, I can see things being easier if maybe like the green surface mount part on the top, I think it is, there, which is under the dip packaged part. I mean, that needs to be moved down for starters.
Totally.
Down the bottom end of
Obviously,
the chip.
we're looking at this and everybody else isn't, but
Right, yeah, no.
we will
Yeah, it's
link
hard.
in the post, of course.
Yes,
of
we'll
course.
link it in. But I don't think this is a problem on a 2-layer board. But then again, some of the comments under the Twitter post were interesting. Some people were saying, what? Like, go immediately to 6-layer. There's no price. There's somebody saying there's no price difference between 2-layer and 4-layer these days. That can't be true, has it? I haven't had a board made in a while, but that can't be true.
It's not significant. I mean, that's the real thing.
Right.
I mean, like
From 2
processing
to
time's
4
a little
is
bit
not-
higher. I mean,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I'm just gonna say I use JLC for like cheapy. I don't care about on boards.
Yep.
It's like it's rock bottom for pretty much everything. But like,
Yes,
you get to 6 layers. It's more expensive and it's an extra day or two, which is often
And if you go
time
in,
is
and if you
the
go
most
into
expensive thing.
production, you will pay more for a 4-layer than you do a 2-layer.
Yeah, exactly. If you're really starting to, crank volume,
Mm-hmm.
you will run into it. But I think, I don't know. Does
And-
your signal integrity matter? Are you doing RF? I mean, like that's the other thing too. Like,
no, there doesn't seem to be anything signal integrity wise on this board. It just looks pretty generic, sort of little,
I feel bad,
system
like-
on module kind of thing.
I know this is kind of the thing that we're doing here, but like this kind of like quarterback, like
Yeah,
what do they call it, like armchair quarterbacking sort of thing. Like
Armchair quarterback.
I don't know. I wouldn't want someone to do that for my. Like I'm sure people do and have and will,
Yep.
but like I don't know. I feel kind of bad. It's an
yeah.
interesting conversation piece. Don't get me wrong.
yeah,
like
yeah, totally.
This is podcast fodder. Like we are doing this, but I feel bad about it.
No. And there's somebody who said, oh, that's a 6-layer minimum. And it's like, you go, what? On what planet?
No,
On
no,
what
I don't
planet?
think so. No, I don't think
Like,
so.
no. Hard no.
I have been noticing there's been like Mauser has a layout show now.
Oh, they got
And,
like a podcasty thing, like a YouTube
No, like a
channel.
contest. They have.
Oh.
They've been emailing me about this contest.
Oh,
they do.
okay, right.
And then, who else did it? John Teal from, I forget his program's name. Yeah, I've just been seeing more like, we're going to compare different people like doing layouts and quicker. And I just like look at like people doing like fast layout type stuff. And I'm just
Yep.
like, I would never ever be able to compete. Like I don't, I'm not fast at things. I'm not good at things. Obviously, I make 180-degree rotation errors. Like I don't know. Like it's just like.
I would have been very
Yeah.
good at it back in the day, but I'm so it's a skill that you lose.
Totally. Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
it's not like I couldn't get it back. I could get it back in days or
Yeah.
weeks or whatever. But when you're late, when I was a full-time PCB design engineer, like doing it all day, every day. Oh yeah, you get really efficient at it.
Yeah.
You get really
Yeah.
quick. It's just blur, like it's a blur.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
you hit the zone, right?
Yeah,
You're like
you just totally hit the zone. Have you ever had a long drive to work? Have you ever had a long commute to work?
define long.
Well, like half hour, 40 minutes or something.
my old
like.
Cleveland
Yeah,
days,
right?
sure. Yep.
Have you ever gotten home and go, I have no memory of doing that drive?
Oh, that's
Right?
yes,
Yes,
way
and
worse
because
than
you-
that. I
yeah.
used to have night shift at Samsung at the fab,
Right,
and so it'd
yeah.
be 7 a.m, and I'd be like, "How did I get here?" Yeah, that's
you
bad.
were
Yeah.
so used to doing that every day. You get used to knowing exactly when to change lanes, exactly when to speed
Yeah,
up
you're
and
right.
slow down,
Yeah,
exactly
yeah.
what time, and it's just all becomes second nature kind of thing. And it's just, nobody could do it better. Like if you put somebody in that situation, no, but you, because you've done it every day, you'd be like a racing car driver, You're just so finely tuned in to that, doing that thing. And that's what it's like to get into the flow of, just
No, it
totally
does, I mean,
forget.
it is nice when you're in it. Yeah.
Oh,
but-
yeah, totally. And then you finish it and you go, whoa, how did I do that? And it was
Yeah,
like, like, whoa, you just have a look at the final product and you have no memory of doing the whole thing. It's just it was just a thing that you did by, auto route, kind of like human auto route.
682 episodes later, Dave. I have no idea how we recorded all this.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah.
Nor what we said.
How
God
I've
help us.
made 3,500 videos or
Exactly.
something
Yeah,
over
yeah.
15 years. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. No, it's just, get in the flow of it and, Bob's your uncle.
Yep.
So anyway,
Yep.
our amp hour is almost up. So I'd like to mention this last one, which is good. Former guest of the show, Ian Scott Johnson, who has done a video retrofitting a OLED conversion to an Advantest R6581 8.5 digit multimeter.
No idea where this is. What is this?
It's in there.
The lighting sequence? No.
Unmanaged linked it in. It's a big purple thumbnail. Keep scrolling down until you see a video with a purple thumbnail.
Is there a title? That title was
Advantest VFD OLED conversion.
I see it there now. Okay, great.
Right.
Yep.
And excellent video. As somebody on the EEV blog forum actually figured out and designed a board that took the serial output internally from this 8.5 digit multimeter that went to the original display driver in there, which which goes to a vacuum fluorescent display. And of course, vacuum fluorescent displays famously lose their brightness over time, right? So apparently this is a known thing in these 8.5, high end 8.5 digit multimeters. So worth saving, right?
Yeah.
This is like a $5,000 multimeter if you can fix it.
Yeah,
right?
The guts are good.
Yeah. The actual gut's good. The display, not so much. So somebody on the EV blog forum actually designed a conversion thing that he found like the serial data within the actual design itself, and then he decodes that and drives and converts that into a font on the 7-segment display. Like really nice.
Arduino Pico.
Yeah, a little Arduino-y or something. One of those little. Yeah, processory boards.
Protocol translator. That's great. Yeah,
and it's just it's a gorgeous look. It's a gorgeous solution. It's just really nice. So very comprehensive video by Ian there. So I really like that. We will link that one in. Highly recommend it.
Definitely.
And he's surprised on Twitter. He was surprised why that video was popular. And I went, dude, it's really good.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I feel like that's like end-to-end kind of like problem solving, but also like kind of like designing, retrofit. Got a lot of
it has quite a lot of aspects. It's like a complete project kind of thing, even though he didn't do the actual design of it, but he took somebody's design from the EV blog forum and and actually implemented it on his unit. Great. And it's great. So hats off. A lot of work.
Other things we should mention before we go. Jack Gansel, congrats to him. Past guest of the show. He retired.
Oh, did he? Oh, good on you, Jack.
He did. Yeah, he's been kind of stepping out past year or two.
How old's Jack now?
He's got to be, I think he was the same age as my dad, which is about 70. So I think
he was very young and sprightly when he visited me here in the lab, but that was a long time ago. So we can link in that video. I've got a video of him when he visited the lab and when we had a good chat.
Yep. And he's been on the Amp Hour twice, so we'll link that in too. Congrats to Jack. I mean, but is it retire in quote marks? Is he just not working for the man anymore? Is he doing anything on his own? Well, he was the man, so
he was. But like, is he taking on contract? Like, wasn't he like doing contract jobs and stuff and things like that?
No, he's been doing educational stuff for years and years and years, like courses, and that's why he was in Australia. He was teaching a course there, and he did management training, but he also did Yep. Expert witness, I think, stuff like that.
Yeah,
obviously, his newsletter, which is the real. I mean,
that's the
embedded
golden
news
egg.
that hit 500. That's where he stopped. So.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which is
number.
very, very impressive. That's like once a month for 20 some years.
Awesome.
It's like
hats off.
That continuity is just so impressive. So very impressive.
That's incredible.
So,
yep.
Yeah.
Well deserved retirement.
Yes.
Although I don't think he'll retire. He'll still do stuff.
Well, I'm gonna maybe ask him 3 or 4 more times to come back on the show.
Right. But, okay.
Roll up all the knowledge of his long and storied career.
We'll suck it all out. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Totally.
And then
good luck to him.
Last not piece of great things. Ward Christensen passed away, unfortunately. He was a listener and emailed a couple times with him.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, BBS inventor and X-Modem.
Yes.
And
Ward Christensen, wow.
Yeah. One of the ones where, should have gotten him on the show. That's a regret of mine.
Yeah, we should have. He did Kermit. Didn't he do Kermit as well, the Kermit protocol? Or am I thinking of someone else?
I think that's someone else.
Okay.
I used that recently, actually. It was
what?
Yeah. There's a motor manufacturer that has that in their in their directions. It's like, go to this site at it's like Brandeis University. There's like some like New York
Right.
City based like university. It's like
Oh my God.
some version of Kermit that's like you have to compile from source, and it's just like, what the hell is going on right now? And that's the only way you could talk to the modem over the serial using Kermit. It's just like,
Oh my God. That's great.
guys.
It's not the 1970s anymore.
I know.
Yeah. Or even early 80s. Yeah.
Whatever. It's anyways, so I was sad to see about Ward, but BBS obviously just a forerunner of all things forum. PHPBB is what. Do you still run that, Dave?
Yes. Well, no, I don't run PHP BB. I run
just-
Simple Machines for them.
Simple Machines. Yeah, I mean every forum software is based. I mean, is a
It's
descendant of the
it's
BBS.
the BBS style. It's
Yeah,
BBS
exactly.
style for them.
Yeah, the mailing list format, that sort of thing. Yeah, so would not be here today without Ward. So
Awesome.
sorry
Well,
to hear about that.
The
Yeah,
hat's off.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And speaking of which, we should have had on the show. I'm very excited for this Friday. I have booked in Lee Felsenstein, who is one of the two big names in the early personal computer industry. You would either name Steve Wozniak, or you would name Lee Felsenstein, the designer of the Osborne One, plus the Sol computer and others, and famously founded the Homebrew Computer Club. He was one of the founding members and the guy who ran all the Homebrew Computer Club meetings. So I'm very excited.
Yeah,
So he's
that's
got
gonna
a
be
new
great.
book coming out, which I've read part of it, but I have to read it all by the end of this week. And very excited.
Awesome. Can't
That's
wait
all
for
I
that
can
one.
say. Yep.
Yeah.
It may not go for an hour,
It's
as
fine.
in it may be over, depending on how excited I get.
Whatever you can get, right? I mean, that's the
Right?
thing.
Yeah,
And so,
yeah, exactly.
on this front as well, right? I mean, since we're talking about Ward and Lee and just kind of Jack as well, right? People
Yeah,
that
yeah.
are, greats
Legends
in the
in the
industry.
industry, yeah.
If there's others that we should be talking to, if there's others that you know, if there's others that you've said, if only
Yeah.
Dave and Chris or one of them should have talked to so-and-so, we would love to hear about it. Please let us know in our comment section. Send us an email, feedback@theamphour.com. We just,
Yep.
time is a harsh mistress. So
Yes, it is. Some of
Yes,
them
Dave and I
don't.
discussed before the
There
show.
are some that I've tried to get on, and no,
I found an old email
just, what?
from one particularly grumpy old great.
Oh, really? Oh, you have to tell me the name after the show. Okay,
I
don't
will.
remember that one. All
You
right.
know who it is.
Oh, do
You know
I?
it.
I probably do. But okay, tell me after the show. All right. Anyway, we are done.
Yeah.
That's
All
our
right.
Manpower. Catch you next time.
All right, man. See you soon.
Bye.